Set a ceiling on who and what we can be. I think that was a huge part of the buy-in from our players. Good teams continue to get better. Our best football is still out in front of us. We got to go chase that.
Orange and White Nation, sponsored by Food City.
We're all things Vols tonight ahead of our big college football playoff matchup against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Orange and White Nation. I'm Sports Director Kenny Hawkins.
And I'm Terry Craig. It's the first time the Vols will be vying for the title in the playoff era. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the Big Orange got here.
It all started in the spring. Nico was tapped as the signal caller for this season after a strong showing in the bowl game last year. That game ended with a win against Iowa.
And this season was as strong as it can get for the Vols. Big wins against Bama, Florida, and NC State on a neutral site. These wins kept the Vols ranked high in polls all season long.
Terry, but the Vols had woes on the road. A tough loss to the Georgia Bulldogs and a loss to Arkansas. It's fair to say that loss is why they're on the road tomorrow in Columbus.
Well, Kenny, now we're here with the Vols set to play one of their biggest games ever in their history. Kenny, this is going to be a real big one for the Vols, right?
It is going to be a big one, but you know what? I think Tennessee every year treats every bowl game, and I'm going to call this a bowl game, okay?
Okay.
All right, this is what it is. I know it's the college football playoffs. It doesn't have a bowl name, but it's a bowl game, okay? Because as long as you get to play in the postseason, that's the way you're going to treat it. Tennessee always comes out and treats it like it's a Super Bowl, and they're going to have to do that tomorrow night.
And I'll tell you what, it has been fantastic during the Heupel era. A lot of success, and a lot of success for the quarterbacks under Heupel. So let's talk a little bit about those quarterbacks as well.
The quarterbacks will be in the spotlight. First-year starter Nico Imaliava has 2,500 pass yards on the season. He's looked good in the team's 10 wins and the big win against Alabama. On the other end, Will Howard will be taking snaps for the Buckeyes. He's completing 72% of his passes this season. What may separate the two is the lines in front of them. Will Howard was sacked 10 times this season. Nico was on the ground 24 times. Here's Nico talking about what he needs to do as he gets more experience as a leader of the offense.
Just taking control of the offense more. As a young guy, I still, can do better at doing that. And yeah, man, I think just me having full command of the offense, knowing what our coaches want, knowing what we want on certain plays and, certain down and distances is what I think I've been working on.
All right, Kenny, tell me, what's going to be the difference between these two signal callers tomorrow?
Here's the thing. Ohio State's going to do everything they can to take Dylan Sampson out of the game.
Yes.
Okay? And I know Tennessee fans don't want to hear this, but they're going to try their best to make Nico beat them in the air. Now, keep in mind, Ohio State has some of the best defensive backs in the country.
Yeah.
All right?
So, yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you some good news for the Vols, though. I mean, Nico has improved each and every week. I know that, plenty of fans were a little nervous after showing, at Arkansas. But each week he has steadily improved. Now, that is if the offensive line can keep him on his feet.
That's the key thing, is that Ohio State has a massive defensive line. Tennessee's offensive line has been inconsistent this year. They will have to be consistent on Saturday night. As for Howard, he has his problems too, okay? Yeah. They're going to have to be able to run the football. If they're not able to run the football as well behind their huge offensive line, he's going to have to put it in the air as well, and Tennessee will have to take advantage of that. But they have some really talented wide receivers.
And we have seen the Buckeyes lost not too long ago at home to Michigan, so they might not be as strong as we think. However, their record, a different story. Of course, those Buckeyes, they will be a tall task for the Vols. Recency bias will turn our heads to the Buckeyes' loss at home to Michigan a few weeks ago. But Ohio State does have big wins against Penn State and the Indiana Hoosiers. Will Howard, who we just spoke about, had his best passing day on the road in a loss against #1 ranked Oregon. Here's Coach Heupel talking about the Buckeyes at the big game.
The little bit I've had an opportunity to watch, via the season as a Saturday afternoon, you're watching football, or, today getting a chance to digest the tape. This is, a roster that's full of elite players and, coached extremely well. They're smart, they're tough, they're physical, both sides of the line of scrimmage, and do a great job on special teams too.
And Kenny, just a quick question on the Buckeyes. Just how good are they?
Well, we're about to find out. I mean, we can't measure this Buckeye team from Michigan and Indiana, okay?
Exactly.
They have played some really good football at times this year. Now, here's the thing. When you're Ohio State, you're expected to win a national championship every year. Obviously, that has not happened, and they have their problems with Michigan. You have to wonder, will there be a hangover? Let's be honest.
Expectations are big.
That's right. So that loss to Michigan, I mean, some of the Wolves are already knocking at the door for Ryan Day's head. So I don't know if he loses this game, especially if he loses bad, how long he'll be there.
And I'll say expectations are a big thing for Ohio State. You know, the fans of the Ohio State University have big expectations going each and every year, and they frankly are just not going to accept a loss against Michigan. So I feel like it all depends on how they respond against the Vols. But I'll tell you this, Kenny, a big factor of who might silence the Ohio State Buckeyes, that's going to be Dylan Sampson.
Well, you got that right. A big part of the Vols game plan will likely be centered around, as he mentioned it, star running back Dylan Sampson. Sampson was named the AP and Coach's SEC Player of the Year after breaking several rushing records at the school, nearly 1,500 yards and 22 touchdowns for Sampson on the season. He was pivotal in the win against Alabama, rushing for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. If you're a Buckeye fan, he's the guy that you're focusing on stopping.
I don't even know if I have the right words to describe D. Sampson and what he means to our team, just as a player and as a leader. I don't know if anybody's played the position better than he has this year. He's special. He's dynamic. Plays great without the ball in his hands. And talk about guy when the ball is in his hands, making things happen.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't know who votes on the Doak Walker, but you missed it.
Yeah, they missed it. They missed it. That's
Come
him.
on now.
That's him right
on.
there. So, Katie, I'll tell you what. How do you stop Dylan Sampson?
Here's the thing with Dylan. Great runner. And it's hard to stop him, especially if the offensive line is clicking. The biggest problem is him holding on to the football. Okay. Let's just be honest. And they're going to key on Sampson a lot. As I mentioned earlier in the show, that's the guy that they need to take out if you're Ohio State. And then you got to force Nico to beat you with the throw. I mean, they're confident in their defensive front that's going to go up against Tennessee's offensive line. Dylan Sampson, he's hard. He's a beast. One of the things that Ohio State has been weak against sometimes this season is running the ball up the middle. Look for him to go in between the tackles a lot this weekend.
And I'll tell you what, for all those Vols fans at home, if you're having your tailgates tomorrow and you're surrounded by Ohio State fans, so they want to say, how do you stop Dylan Sampson? Here's your answer. You don't. He's that good. But let's move on. The Vols won't have to look too far to find some weaknesses in the Buckeyes. In their most recent loss to Michigan, the Wolverines kept it on the ground, gushing the Buckeyes defense with 172 yards. I bet Dylan Sampson's, he is excited about that stat right there. 172 yards on the ground, that is, and controlling the clock. Offense was a struggle for the home side. Will Howard didn't break 200 passing yards and threw the ball to the other team twice.
You know, here's the thing. It's obvious that the Buckeyes are a strong team, but as we saw twice this year, they're certainly beatable. How can the Vols take advantage?
I mean, honestly, I feel like if Nico can step up, and obviously as we've been talking, you know, Dylan Sampson, I mean, I feel like that he's going to be excited about that stat that we just said. I mean, what, only 2 games this season where he did not get 100 rushing yards on the ground. So I feel like Dylan Sampson is going to be really excited to face that Ohio State matchup, particularly how they play against Michigan last week.
I agree with you, but the person I need excited are them big hogs up front.
There you go.
Okay,
there you go.
Because he ain't going nowhere if the offensive line doesn't do their part.
That's true.
Okay, I don't need, once again, a game on the road and Hurd jumping offside 3 times. You can't have that. I mean, this is where I think Mays will step up. He needs to calm these guys down, and they need to create holes for Dylan Sampson.
Okay, and I'll tell you that what, later on in the Sportscast, we are going to talk a little bit more about the weather outside and how the Vols have performed on the road as well.
You're taking a live look in Columbus where the Vols are gearing up to get their playoff journey underway. What kind of weather should the Vols be preparing for up north? Meteorologist Garrett Sellers will have that game day forecast right after the break.
Now, Storm Team 11 meteorologist Jared Sellers.
All right, there's been a lot of talk about how cold it's going to be out there for the Vols versus the Buckeyes going in towards the night hours for your Saturday. And it's actually that cold air finally starting to move in and towards portions of Columbus. So let's take a look at those current conditions out towards Columbus, Ohio right now. Current temperature outside at 36 degrees, so kind of similar to what our temperature is out there right now. Dew point at 36 degrees, so humidity 100% right now. And that wind chill at 27 degrees. Winds out of the north at about 15 miles per hour. Now, here's that Saturday forecast for all those tailgaters out there in the morning hours. I put that is not temperature on the very far, at least my right side, maybe your left side right there. That is wind chill. Wind chill factors are going to be into the teens and the lower 20s out there tomorrow. So definitely going to be cold, at least through the tailgating process, even through all the way out to the evening hours as well. Now, clouds will be around across most of the region, and those winds are going to be breezy as well, anywhere between 15 to 20 miles per hour. So it's going to be breezy out there across the region. Now, here's that playoff forecast. At game time kickoff, temperatures are going to be into the 20s, mid-20s. Going to feel like 17. Going to hold on to those 20s throughout most of the game. I'd say for Tennessee football, they got a good running attack. Not a lot of throwing is going to be happening. It's looking like it's going to be, I'm thinking about picking Tennessee at this point because, like I said, it's going to be cold out there, guys. And temperatures, when it's cold, you can't throw the ball as much, and Tennessee's got a really good running attack.
Well, you said you think you're taking Tennessee, so tell us, who are you going to take? Pick a side, Jared.
Well, you guys were just telling me Tennessee wasn't that good on the road, but I'm still sticking with the Vols. I think they got a really good running attack, and I think they're going to take it in probably 21-17, very close game.
So you don't think the weather's going to play a factor?
Or it will, at least throwing the football. Now, Ohio State has a really good throwing attack. They got some of the best wide receivers in the country, but when it's cold outside, it's very hard to kind of throw the football and also catch the football, and that's usually when teams start to run the football more, and now Tennessee's got a really good running attack, so that's why I'm thinking I'm going to pick the Vols 21-17.
Right. Jared, thank you so much. And I'll tell you what, it gets cold on Rocky Top too, but the Vols, we playing in temperatures that they haven't seen all season. It hasn't been smooth sailing for the Vols on the road all this year. A loss on the road at Georgia and a loss on the road at Arkansas this season. The Vols put less than 20 points on the board in each of those games. Surely the Vols will be confident against any opponent anywhere, but it's hard to ignore their record on the road.
Yeah, it's a June day in South Dakota. It's going to be great football weather. You know, a couple of weeks ago we played in 30-degree weather. We practiced in the morning, still chill. You know, as cold as it will be around this area, and at the end of the day, you know, you get between the white lines, weather doesn't matter. You know, the temperature doesn't, and we'll be ready to go play.
Kenny, have you ever spent a June day in South Dakota?
Yes, I have, with just a T-shirt on. Okay?
So does it get cold? Does it get cold like it is in Columbus?
Don't get a visual of that, okay? No, I have not had a June day in South Dakota. But I like what the coach says. He's used to that kind of weather. It's really about how you prepare mentally for that type of weather and how you dress. And I think that's how Tennessee is going to prepare for this contest. Look, it gets cold on Rocky Top, okay?
Yeah,
maybe not as cold in Columbus. We compared the numbers. They're pretty similar, okay? I think their temperature was 1 degree colder or 4 degrees colder than it was in Knoxville. So it's nothing that Tennessee is not going to be used to.
I feel like the weather has been talked about a little too much. I know that Nico is from Southern California, but that's not going to bother him. As we mentioned, it does get cold on Rocky Top. However, I do think the Vols do want to reverse their luck on the road. Obviously, loss against Georgia, loss against Arkansas, that frankly, did not allow them to, host this playoff game. Yeah. But I feel like, with Dylan Sampson, run the ball, control a game, I don't feel like that they're going to be leaning too much on Nico. I feel like it's going to be a Dylan Sampson type ball game.
I agree. Nico says he's played in cold and snow one time 7-on-7 in New York. We'll see if
he'll be just fine.
Coming up, we're about 24 hours away from kickoff. We'll hear how the Vols are preparing for the big game and a live report from Columbus. And take a look at how this could be the biggest season for the Vols since 1998. I remember that year. I was there. It was a good year. We'll be right back.
Anticipation is building as the Tennessee Vols are looking for its first national championship since 1998.
The Big Orange is ready to take over the shoe up in Columbus and make history. Reese Van Haften and Casey Kay with our sister station made the trek to Columbus. They join us live with more on how Josh Heupel has his team ready. You guys look like you've been with the Rock and guarding the red one. I mean, man, they got the toboggan and everything.
Yeah, cold.
Exactly.
Hey, Kenny, you have no idea. You can see my breath right now, just like Josh Heupel has breathed life back into this Tennessee football program. The Vols have been national title contenders 2 out of the last 3 seasons he's been here.
Yeah, the Vols have now a chance with the college football playoff format changing up the make a run at that national title, something that Tennessee fans haven't been able to talk about since 1998.
Despite the struggles before Heupel took over, this is not a celebration for the Vols this year. Tennessee is ready to take care of business. Just ask the players.
Because Coach Hype and the staff, the coaches, everybody in the building has done a great job of, setting the goals, setting the mission for us. And I feel like the leaders on the team has done a great job just reiterating it to all the guys and things like that. So, everybody's just dialed in, ready to complete the mission, attack the mission. And we see how far we done came, so we was like, why stop? You know what I'm saying? So we're just excited and dialed into everything they installed into us since January 1st.
The players have reiterated time and time again that they're trying to keep this game just like every single other one that has happened this season.
But of course, they understand the magnitude of this one. A lot's on the line. You win this one, you go to a lot warmer place in California, in Pasadena, for the Rose Bowl to face Oregon. And nobody understands the magnitude of this game more than Kenny, because he was alive. He's seen it all billion years of Tennessee football. Kenny, how big is the magnitude of this one?
I know it. I know it. I told you they were cooking up something. I knew it. I was already 12 years in when they played that game in '98. Okay, let you guys know. All right, thank you. Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah. This is a moment that Tennessee fans have been waiting for a very long time.
1998, of course, is a year that many Vol fans remember pretty well. That was the year I was born as well. It put the cap on some of the greatest years the school has ever experienced.
For the older Vols, those times are cherished memories that you're hoping to recreate. For the young folks, that success is something you're hoping to rekindle and get a taste of. Regardless, this Vols team is hungry for success. Head coach Josh Heupel has his team ready to take that next step.
This is, everything we worked for in the offseason. This was what we expected. This is what we grinded for, and, it doesn't stop now. Like, this wasn't the goal to just get to this game. There's a lot more games we got left to play, but we got to attack it the right way.
We understand what big games look like, what they feel like, the type of environments that you're going to play in. Certainly understand playing great opponents and, the preparation, I think they have a great understanding of, and then the competitive makeup that you have to have when you get to game day.
Coming up, we'll let you know everything you need to know about the big game. Now it's time for Terry and myself to let you know who we think will win it. We'll have those predictions right after the break. Let's hope we hear Rocky Top a lot, because if that happens, that means Tennessee is scoring.
Good old Rocky Top.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Wait, don't forget the woo.
Yeah.
Don't forget the woo. Okay. Woo. We've given you all that you need to know ahead of the big game. Now it's time for us to tell you who we think will win the game. Terry?
Kenny, I'll start with you. Okay. You're a proud East Tennessean, big Vols fan, so what do you think? This is a tightly contested matchup. Kind of walk me through your score.
Well, I think both teams have a lot on the line. Obviously, you want to go to the next step, take on the #1 team in the country, and then hopefully win that and move into an opportunity for a championship. I think Tennessee's defense has to step up in this contest, which they've done a great job this year. I think Tennessee wins a very close, low-scoring game, 20-17.
All right, I'll tell you this, Kenny. Okay. I was born and bred a South Carolina Gamecock.
He's a Gamecock.
I think that's been very established. But today, I'm all Vols. I'm singing Rocky Top. Wow. Rocky Top 21-14. 3 touchdowns for Dylan Sampson. They are going to stop the Buckeyes at home. The Vols, they will win in cold weather. I'm all Vols.
I can't believe I got that orange tie around his neck. It's choking him.
Hey,
right
don't show this to my mom. Don't show this to my mama.
I'm going to hold this over you. I got you now.
Well, hey, thank you so much for watching the special edition of Orange White Nation.
You can watch the Vols take on the Buckeyes tomorrow on ABC Tri-Cities at 8.